unique memorial shrouded in a veil of many legends, virtually the only fortress that can boast its being truly inaccessible. The find that shook a whole empire. The Golden Gate Museum, under the roof of this young institution, is an artifact with a 1,000-year history. The history of the museum began with its accidental discovery by an amateur archaeologist. Today it is just a small branch of the large museum, the Sofia of Kiev National Reserve. But even the largest museums in the world would not have turned down this exhibit. Two walls. The east wall is 25 meters long and 8 meters high. The west wall is 13 meters long and of the same height. The thickness of the walls ranges from 1.25 meters to 1.5 meters without the pillars. The pillars themselves protrude from the wall by 30 to 40 centimeters. The pillars are the main bearing structure of the gate. The weight of the whole structure lays on these pillars. There are 7 such pillars on every side. Between the walls is a passage which is approximately 7 meters wide. The distances between the pylons reach 6.4 meters. The distances between the walls are 7.3 meters. This at first glance is uncomplicated but a very reliable construction, which was crowned with arches. There were also several of them. The highest arch is 13.3 meters high and the lowest one is 8.3 meters high. All that is the main entrance to ancient Kiev called the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate was the only stone gate among the 3 Kiev entrances. In addition to Golden Gate, the main southern entrance to Kiev, there was also the western so-called Schid Gates and Lihat Gates on the territory of the current Independence Square. Who entered the capital city through this gate? What are the secrets of this outstanding fortification? And who saved it from demise? The Golden Gate is one of the oldest memorials of the times of Kievan Rus. It is called the symbol of Kiev, but according to researchers, the glory of this structure extends far beyond the boundaries of Kiev. The Golden Gate is one of the most outstanding and old memorials of Eastern Europe. It appeared in the early 11th century as the main entrance to the city of Kiev. And that is why it is so valuable. After all, the ruins of the Golden Gate have a 1,000-year history. The Golden Gate was not just the main entrance to the capital of Rus. This was also the main link of the defensive structures of Kiev of the 11th to 13th centuries. But what was the defensive system? It is known that the whole perimeter of Kiev was surrounded by high earthen ramparts. There were also ramparts on both sides of the Golden Gate, the length of which was 3.5 kilometers and the height 16 meters. The construction of the ramparts was not as simple as just filling an earthen rampart and being done with it. It would have crumbled under the influence of atmospheric precipitation, rain and snow in particular. Log constructions were at the base of the ramparts. Every log construction was divided into a so-called cage. They were built with oak beams. The size of each cage was 3 by 3 meters. Thus, the width of each rampart was 27 meters. The cages were densely packed with earth. The 3 central cages were raised to the full height of the rampart and formed its crest. And the 3 extreme outer and inner cages formed slopes or ledges of the rampart itself. That way, the design was very strong. Entering the city from the steppe was only possible through gates. One such gate was the Golden Gate. It was a passage in a battle tower, the length of which was 30 meters. The life of the whole city depended on the reliability of this fortification. Therefore, the construction was taken very seriously. It combined the latest achievements in science and technology of that period. The Golden Gate was built according to the old technique, opus mixtum. This is masonry, where large blocks of stone, granite and quartzite are combined with thin brick, ancient Russian plinth. Such masonry was laid in layers. Every second row of plinth was receded by 3 to 4 centimeters. Such masonry is called with a recessed row. It is hidden beyond grouting. It is hidden behind grouting. A certain decorative effect is created. Wide strips are filled with pink plaster. Thanks to this technique, the necessary pattern on the wall was achieved, which added decorativeness to the masonry itself. This technique is also characteristic for ancient Rome buildings. It came to Kievan Rus through Byzantium, but over 9 centuries had passed between the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the construction of the Golden Gate. What attracted the people of Rus to the masonry of ancient Rome? Could it be its appearance? There is actually yet another layer of plinth. That layer was not only decorative, it also connected rows in a cross-section, which created a strong monolithic construction. But those are not all of the secrets of the ancient technology. As it turns out, it can even give a head start to modern know-how, since it can provide sturdiness and durability, which not all modern technologies are capable of. Cement mortars with which this masonry was built did not have sand added to lime, the way inert sand is added today, but mashed pottery instead. This does react with lime, unlike sand. The result of this interaction are new compounds that ensure both the strength and durability of the solution, as well as its resistance to damp conditions. That is, the hydraulic properties of these solutions. In addition, such masonry had high porosity, which provided steam and gas exchange with the external environment. The colloquialism for such constructions is breathing walls. It was important because the walls had to withstand more than their own pressure. The passage itself was blocked by arches that rested against walls and pillars. There was a gate church above the Golden Gate. From the annals we know that it was the church of the Annunciation of the Blessed Virgin. The total height of the edifice is 29 meters. It was not indicated in the annals whether it was a stone or wooden church. But based on archaeological research, one can say that it was actually a stone church decorated with mosaics and frescoes. Their fragments were found during excavations. Consequently, the gate church was designed as a continuation of the stone tower of the passage. The church is also not quite simple. It refers to a fairly elite church by its decoration system. We know that its walls were decorated with frescoes and mosaics. It was an extremely expensive material at the time, and very few churches were decorated with wall mosaics. Perhaps today some will be surprised by the church being built in such a seemingly unsuitable place, maybe even wasteful, since the Golden Gate is a place for keeping watch, not prayers, and for defense against invaders in the worst-case scenario. And in case of unsuccessful defense, the church would surely have been plundered and ruined. But the architects of the time had several reasons for building a church exactly above the main entrance to Kiev. It is natural, this is already a normal Christian interpretation. People entered an Orthodox Christian city and they were met by a church. According to the beliefs of those times, building a church and dedicating it to a certain saint the Blessed Virgin Mary, in this case, put everyone in that place, and since it was the main entrance to the city, then all the Kiev residents were under the patronage of the saint to whom the church had been dedicated, that is, the Blessed Virgin, and the protection of the Blessed Virgin protected the city better than any of the other buildings, towers and walls. It was not known whether it was the braveness of the defenders of the gate or the patronage of the Virgin that played the main role, but the fact remains. Throughout its history, the Golden Gate had not been sieged even once. It was one of the most powerful defensive structures in Europe at that time. The Golden Gate is as mysterious now as it was powerful back then. This main entrance to Kiev is shrouded in many legends and secrets. One of them is its name. There is a belief that the main gate to the capital of Kievan Rus was made of pure gold, hence the name Golden Gate. But is that actually true? The Golden Gate itself received its name due to the fact that it was the central entrance to the capital. Such practice existed in the world back then. The main gates in Jerusalem and Constantinople were also golden. That emphasized the place and the role of these gates in life of the city itself and its inhabitants. It was an analogue of Byzantium and Constantinople, or Tsargrad, as it was called under Kievan Rus. Plus, it had a special status among the three entrances. It was the Golden Gate that was official. Troops marched under its arches after successful military campaigns. It was a grand entrance. Here came the warriors with a victory, ambassadors of other countries that planned to sign some customs or commercial contracts and so on. And when they left Kiev or came to Kiev, a farewell or greeting service was held in the gate church. It turns out that the name of the main gate of the country is connected solely with its place and role in the life of the city and the traditions of Constantinople, many of which were adopted by Kiev since the time of Volodymyr's baptism. Still, there was some gold involved. Watch in the next program. With the advent of Yaroslav the Wise to the throne, an extremely important question arose. The scale of actions that stood before Yaroslav significantly exceeded that of all his predecessors. There is a version that the legendary kunds were kept in special storerooms at the Golden Gate, that is, the monetary unit of the times of Kievan Rus. There are currently 3 scientific versions of the construction of the gate. Those are the years 1017 and 1037 concerning the chronicles. Researchers have long come to the conclusion that this article is to some extent a synopsis, the region of Yaroslav the Wise.